Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Film Busters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusters.pod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters.
Let's talk about Alec Baldwin for a second.
Oh shit, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the latest is that he and the armourer on that set are being charged with involuntary manslaughter. Now, can you explain that to me?
So I didn't realise. Someone told me yesterday, and they didn't mention the armourer. So I'm glad that they are actually charging that person as well, not just him.
Yes.
Because it's not really his responsibility to make sure the weapons are properly.
Well, I don't
safe.
know, because the police must have enough that they believe that they can charge him as well. To me, it makes sense that he just charged
he's
the
the one
armourer.
who's fired the weapon. It's probably just he's fired the weapon. You kind of automatically go.
Well, I think the thing is, around the time when it first happened, there was loads of people saying you always check your own weapons to make sure.
Do you think that's true?
I don't know, but that's what some actors were saying. That I always check my weapon.
That's, I don't think that's industry standard, though. I reckon that's people who've got a beef with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, true.
The right-wing actors, the James Woods of the world.
I know, it's a grey area, isn't it? It's like he is the one who did the shooting.
I know.
Have you seen the video? There was a video on the BBC News yesterday of as it happened from set. So like the scene that they were shooting at the time, and
Him pointing the gun directly at the camera.
Yeah, and then and it's afterwards when the police arrive and the police were interviewing him straight away.
Yes. And
him, like, they were saying, like, is that their blood on your clothes, or is that theatrical? And he's like, oh no, it's theatrical. Like, can we take pictures of you?
Yeah.
And he just looks so like shell shocked and like weird, just walking around this set.
I mean, you would be whichever way you cut it. Like, there's no way that he intended to kill that person. He's making a fucking movie, for God's sake.
Yeah,
of course. It's the same as what we spoke about the other day when my brother-in-law's stepdad got run over. It's like that girl. I'm sure she didn't mean to run this guy, but she's a 22-year-old girl.
Oh fuck!
And he's probably just stumbled out into the road.
22. Imagine having to live with that for the rest of your life.
I know. And it's like he's crossing a dual carriageway. You don't expect someone to be crossing there.
Shit. Fuck.
And it's like just like he didn't expect there to be a fucking real bullet in the gun or whatever it was.
Although I gotta say, I do think that he should have been keeping a lower profile than he has done, given everything. If you go check out the man's Instagram account, he's putting pictures on there every 3 days.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Maybe he's trying to keep up appearances.
Yes.
of what, like, though?
Of all sorts, like him on set, not on set, him like attending events, him with his wife, him with his kids, them doing dress up for fancy parties. It's like a woman died like a year and a half ago. It's not. I'm not saying you need to like be repenting, but keep that fucking profile low, man.
He's probably been advised though, hasn't he?
Yeah,
just act normal. You don't want to draw attention to yourself in a bad way by not posting anything, kind of thing, like staying quiet.
Yeah. God, can you imagine?
That's a hard one.
Can you imagine? I mean, no one when Brandon Lee was killed on the set of The Crow. When he died on the set of The Crow, I don't believe that anyone on that set was charged with anything because it was like fucking mistake. But then see there, I think the issue was something got lodged in the gun.
It's like a freak accident.
Whereas this was an actual bullet that was in a gun that should never have been there, I suppose.
That's nuts, isn't it, man? You'd 100% be charged whoever handed that gun to him.
Yeah. She's I think it's the daughter. Is nepotism. This is a big topic at the moment, but it was the daughter of a quite famous Hollywood armourer. It was like one of her first ever gigs, and it's like, there you go.
Imagine, man.
There you go.
Fuck, man. Yeah.
She was a kid herself.
Wasn't it something to do with them, like doing target practice the night before or something?
Fucking idiots.
And they were
man.
using the gun.
Americans and their guns, man. Americans and their guns. There is something I can't remember exactly the details in Switzerland, but they allow guns in Switzerland, and they have such low levels of shootings in Switzerland. And funnily enough, statistically, the people who kill the most with guns in Switzerland are wives shooting their husbands.
Wow.
Yeah, a very low number though, but overwhelmingly it's that. Strange.
I can imagine it probably is the same in other countries that have guns. Like, there's always probably just in the house domestic.
It's probably harder to get hold of them. They probably don't sell them in like just fucking supermarkets.
No, exactly. Just walk into
That's
Walmart.
probably the difference.
Fucking buy bullets in Tesco.
Yeah.
Do you know what you can buy though? I walked down like the you can buy dildos.
What?
Oh yeah, you showed me this the other day.
I went down the pharmacy aisle and I was like, "There's a fucking dildo just on the shelf."
No, in Tesco.
Yes, in Tesco.
How are they not covering that up for the kids?
It's not. It's on the shelf. It's where all like the medical products are.
Medical, yeah. I've got a pain in my arse. Give me that dildo.
Well, obviously near where the condoms are and everything like that. But I was like, wow, man.
Did you buy it?
Put it on the shelf. No, I don't need one. I already got a double ender at home.
Good.
Double ender.
Would
Got
you,
two ends.
if Zoe or Chelsea asked you to put like silicone around your cock so that they could make a dildo that is your cock, would you be flattered or would you be like weirded out?
I'll be
Be
flattered.
flattered.
Yeah. Okay.
And they can take it
It
with
just
them all
shows
the
you
time.
that it's obviously your penis size is the perfect
So
way to please
so
them.
you agree to it, right? And they go, okay, we're just sending off to get that cast, and then Christmas Day, where your family are around, she's bought it for everyone member of your family.
Well,
Imagine.
then that's just weird.
would it have my face, my signature on it?
Yep. And your family dogs are licking them up.
They got the peanut butter snack.
Yes. Like a Kong for the dog.
Oh my god.
Oh, damn.
Wow, how's it transcended into this?
I know,
don't
we
I
know.
mean, how much of this conversation's going in the podcast? Because
Yeah, all of that.
Should we move on to actually talking about film?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, before we actually move on to the staple of every episode, let me just say we've got a Patreon channel, everyone, at www.patreon.com/filmbusters. We have exclusive content. We have a beautiful Filmbusters family over there. You can suggest films to the show. You can come on the show. It's a very fun little place. So you should come over there. What are we doing on the Patreon channel after this episode, Adam?
We are going to talk about our favourite ghost stories.
Yes, ghost story films. I did say this to Ben. He thought I was just in general talking about ghost stories.
Yeah. I was very perplexed.
Perplexed.
I thought you meant ghost stories in any incarnation, like a song about a ghost or a tale we were told as kids.
Well, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I feel like we should probably stick to film though, because that's kind of our
That's our thing. Yes.
gig.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Good.
I look forward to it.
That's on the
I've got some
Patreon
good
directly.
picks. I've tried to avoid the most obvious ones, and I'm
Me too.
going to do the same as our last Patreon episode. And if you bring some up, I will bring another one up. Kind of.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Right. Shall we move on to the staple of every episode, Adam?
So over to the staple of every episode, the quiz.
Oh.
I pitch.
Yes,
Yeah.
the quiz.
The quiz.
Anyway, so yes, if the way
Do
it
you want
works,
to say the scores?
the scores are.
Do you know the scores?
Everyone's very low. I think someone's got 2, someone's got 1,
Me.
and I've got 0.
That's correct. I've got 2. Ben's got 1. You've got 0.
Okay, there we go. I knew it off the top of my head. Yeah, so if they get the question right, they get the point. If they get the question wrong, I get the point. That's how it works. Are you ready for the first question?
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
How long was the standing ovation at Cannes?
10 minutes.
Well done, Ben.
Oh, that's good. Is that
It's a
going to be
very-
in your facts?
Not anymore, it's not.
Is it actually one of your fact points?
It was part of the whole thing, yeah.
Fucking stupid standing ovations. That's such a long time.
I know. 10
I watched
minutes,
this film and then didn't make any questions.
Well, very good.
Anyway, and the second question is, which uncredited role does Del Toro play?
The doctor who treats her leg.
Well done. Was that also in your trivia?
Doctor who treats her leg.
Yeah, after
when
she hurts her leg and she goes to
when Laura hurts her leg. She's in the hospital.
Oh, really? I don't even remember that. I don't even remember like a doctor.
Very brief.
He's in it literally, and then he walks out of the room because her husband and the police officer come in.
Oh, interesting. Interest. Oh, very good.
I've surged ahead.
You surged ahead.
No bonus points this week.
What are the scores?
At me.
What are the scores?
Ben has 3, Paul has 2, and I have 0.
This is going to be funny. Imagine if me and you just keep answering the questions all through the year and Adam stays on 0 the whole time.
You two are going to be very hard to stump because you have these fucking memories of films.
I've learnt a lesson though. I just got to read the IMDb page now,
just
before the podcast.
Not every time, because I will make questions outside of this because I will make them when I'm watching the film, not after the film.
I thought when I was watching this film, I thought the only question I could actually see Adam asking is what are they playing at the beginning? Like, what's the line? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, but I can't remember what it is. 1, 2, 3, and then what's the word? Is it like, what's the time, Mr. Wolf?
Oh, she calls it something else. She calls it 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
Knock on the wall.
Knock on the wall. That's it. Knock on the wall. Yeah. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? 10 o'clock.
I thought you were going to ask what the orphanage is called.
I can't remember what that was called.
I made a note of that just in case.
Can't remember that. Saint Bernadetta.
Good Shepherd Orphanage.
Wow. Who would have thought this?
Who would have thought this, eh?
Do you remember What's the Time, Mr. Wolf? Did you play that?
Yeah. Or Grandma's Footsteps, same thing, innit?
Well, they say, when you say, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? And then the wolf turns around and goes, 6 o'clock. Then everyone who's walking has to go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? 10 o'clock. You would always just say a high number if you're the wolf, because you want them to come close to you so you can catch them.
Point of the game, innit?
Yeah.
Should we move on to talking about the orphanage?
Oh, come on.
1, 2, 3, toca la pared. 1, 2, 3, toca la pared. 1. 1, 2, 3, toca la pared.
Right, everyone, today we're talking about The Orphanage from 2007. This is the last film in the 2007 round, so it's all very exciting. This is a film by J.A. Bayona. This is a spoiler episode. If you haven't seen it, we're going to spoil it terribly for you, so you might want to go watch it first and then come back and listen. Otherwise, just let yourself be spoiled. Before we move on to the plot summary by Adam, I've got a couple of people we've done before on the podcast. Do you know?
Well, I can only imagine Del Toro.
Nope, I'm not including the producers because who knows what they actually fucking do on the film.
Shit.
I feel like his fingerprints are all over this film.
They very much are.
Probably, but I don't know how much he did, so I'm not including him.
I don't know anyone in this film that's been in stuff we've done before.
We've done a film by the director before.
What's he done?
That fucking Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Fallen Kingdom. Yes.
That's another one of my trivia bits that has been removed.
I've got a more interesting one though. I don't know whether you got this in the trivia, but this was like, wow, how many films are we going to do by this person?
Don't think so. What is it?
We've done 4 films with this person in.
What?
Yeah, never a lead character, and it's a very like a person we were like, wow, that is an interesting person to have for 4 films. Is it the
dads?
No,
the old woman.
This person is a female. She's been in Fallen Kingdom. She's been in Age of Innocence and Limelight, and this film.
Well, it's got to be the old lady then.
Geraldine Chaplin.
Fuck me.
The fucking Medium.
What's she been in, please?
The Medium. Fallen Kingdom, Age of Innocence, and Limelight. Obviously, because...
fucking Chaplin. Yeah. Damn, man. God damn.
4 films. She's headlining as one of our most watched people.
Yeah, she is. Fucking hell.
Nuts.
Hey, listen, I ain't got no trivia that's going to beat that shit, really. I mean, I was going to sort of lead with the fact that this was that director's first ever film. This was his debut, The Orphanage, and then he did The Impossible, that one with Ewan McGregor, where the tsunami rocks in, and he did A Monster Calls, which is based on that book, and then Jurassic World. Fallen Kingdom, and he's got something coming out called Society of the Snow. It is a Spanish and Mexican co-production. It was written by a guy called Sergio Sanchez in 1996, 11 years before it would make it to Scream, and when it was part Scream rather than Scream, and when it was brought to the attention of director Bayona in 2004, Bayona asked his longtime friend Guillermo del Toro to help produce the film, which he did, and doubled its budget in the meantime. Bayona intended to capture the feel of 1970s Spanish cinema, which is why he cast Geraldine Chaplin and Belen Rader.
There you go. You fucking said it in your fucking facts, mate.
I know. I didn't even connect that. I just assumed it's Spanish, so it can't be Charlie's girl. Charlie's girl. That's got to be a Sharks on a Wedding episode. I don't know what we can make out of that, but Charlie's girl. As Adam pointed out, the film opened at the Cannes Film Festival in 2007, where it received a standing ovation lasting more than 10 minutes, but an indeterminate amount more than 10 minutes. So 10 minutes is the correct answer of the quiz still.
just to make sure.
Yes. New Line Cinema bought the rights for an American remake. Guillermo del Toro was involved and asked Bayona if he would like to take on the directorial duties again. Bayona said no, and Guillermo del Toro said good. Read into that
trick
how
question.
You will. I know, trick question, isn't it? And that's it.
Oh, lovely.
El Orfanato. That's what this film's called. El Orfanato.
Beautiful. Beautiful Spanish there.
Yes.
Adam, would you like to do a plot summary?
Yes, so this film is about a woman called Laura who was brought up in an orphanage, and she gets adopted, I think is the correct term, and taken away from the orphanage.
You was about to say murdered.
No, that's later.
She murders herself.
Yes, she does.
In the eyes of the Holy Father.
Spoilies.
I know.
Anyway, so she
Anthony Hopkins did it to her from behind with a knife. And then he said, "Oh, give me my Fanta and pizza."
What? What are you talking about?
You know, in the Two Popes, he has Fanta and pizza, don't
Oh,
you?
yeah. Oh, right.
So he kills
right.
her dressed as the Pope.
I get it
and
now.
that.
I get the link.
I'd love it if someone had the balls to do that in film, and
So
people could just be
Fanta and
watching,
pizza.
going, fucking brilliant.
He is the Holy Ghost now.
He is. Oh, he died just a week or so ago.
it was more
We're not
than that
really
now.
sad about it because he covered
No.
up the abuse as we
Yes.
saw in the film.
Of course.
Anyway, so I was
Sorry,
saying, she buys the orphanage a couple of years later, moves back with her adopted son, and shit goes down.
Shit goes down.
Shit goes down. Just
Wow.
like he did in the basement.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
This
Or
is
a
so
doll.
spoilerific.
Yes.
Okay, this is my
There's
pick
spoilers in this.
for 2007. So I get to decide what order our first impressions should go in. I'm going to go first because I obviously know what I think, and I'm just going to get out of the way, and then we'll have Adam, then Ben. We're going to go
Okay.
classic Filmbusters order.
Classic.
Okay, so I feel like I've watched this loads because it came out around the time when I was really getting into film. So I feel close to it, although in reality I probably only watched it a handful of times. It just it was at a time like the origin of my love for film. But it's been years and years since I've watched it since, so I was pretty excited to return to see how it holds up. The funny thing is that I've actually watched a couple of haunted house films lately, so I felt almost compelled to revisit this, especially when I had to pick what 2007 film we're doing to compare like with the rest of the films I've watched. And I'm happy to see it does hold up. It's good. It's a bit of a slow burn, but that is kind of expected in these kind of haunted house films, though it does feel a little bit more like reflective and emotional than your average scary ghost film. It does have a lot of haunted house tropes, though. It isn't until about 3/4 in that I think the film really kicks up a pace and has your complete attention. Belen Ruda, who plays Laura. I think she's fucking wonderful. I think her performance is really solid in this, and I feel her desperation and like totally on board with her mindset throughout. And when it comes to the haunts, I mean, what's creepier than children just standing in old houses? It's fucking creepy shit, and it's great because it doesn't overdo it either, and try to make them look horrific or too ghostly. It's almost like really just playing with you, and never feels like there's any malice from like the dead inhabitants kind of thing. Then of course we come to our final act with the realization of what's actually happened, and I think it's all pretty beautiful and it's bloody sad. It really hit me hard, like the unraveling of her mental state and finally seeing the reality of the situation. So fucking sad. It got me, and it kind of just nails the actual ending for me, bringing it all full circle to Simon's curiosity of Peter Pan and Neverland, like the never growing up, which he never actually does, which is sad, and neither will all the rest of the children. So it's fitting that Laura, that little girl who left all those years ago, left Neverland, grown up, should return to be their mother and their Wendy, and it's pretty beautiful. I like that. And that's my first impressions.
Okay. Yeah, this. Yeah, I just literally just forgotten everything I was about to say about this film. I just gone completely blank.
What is this film again? We talk about
what you just said at the end of it was all quite powerful, and it just kind of made me go a little bit.
Oh, you've made him emotional.
Not emotional.
I brought a tear.
Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed this film, but I didn't love this film.
Okay.
There's a lot of good moments in it, but I feel like I feel like there's too many like Del Toro fingerprints all over it, and I just don't like that kind of style. I think it doesn't really work for me on Pan's Labyrinth. Definitely didn't work for me on fucking that other shit film we did of his, Crimson Peak.
Oh, Crimson Peak. Is it Crimson Peak?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, in places it was never as bad as that, but it did feel a little bit along those lines. It is good, but there was characters in this film that just irritated me, like the dad. What a prick.
Oh, really?
No, it's not really a prick. He just
could not give a toss that his wife is fucking losing her shit and trying to find.
He's a scientific man. He's a doctor, so he kind of just.
Yeah, he's got a heart though. They ain't just fucking a robot. Oh, the kid's gone missing. I don't give a toss. My wife's going insane. I couldn't care.
I wouldn't say he doesn't care. He's made like a. Let me just finish your thoughts. Sorry.
Anyway, so there's little things like that annoy me, but there is some good moments throughout this film, and overall, I did enjoy it. I just didn't love it.
Fair enough.
It's fair enough. I would say that, in contrast to what you said, Paul, I actually preferred the first half of the movie.
Okay.
Because it felt at that point that it was going its own path. Because so by the end, I'd reduced my score based on how it ended, even though I liked the reveal of what had happened with Simon, and how we got there. The final 30 minutes, maybe I'd say 30 to 40 minutes, where it kind of descended for me into everything we've seen before in terms of the haunted house, ghostly horror tropes. And yeah, I take your point. They're not really shown to be malicious, so it's not like jump scares left, right and centre, but it all felt very familiar. And I think the problem actually for me with this film is the director. You could tell that this was his first film because it looked very bland. The whole palette of everything just felt like I was watching a TV movie, and it wasn't very inspiring for me. It felt like, given what we were dealing with, the topic we were dealing with, we could have had something a little bit more bombastic, with a little bit more of a unique style to it. But there were moments that immediately started taking me out of the movie. Like, for example, I've got a note here, 10 minutes in, when Laura climbs into bed with Simon and they're talking about the lighthouse, Laura picks up an alarm clock or something and like shines it, and it reflects in the window to make it look like the lighthouse is shining in. And I thought, God, all of this just looks really cheap and weird. And then, as Adam said, I thought, what's the common denominator here? Del Toro. And I think whether it's Spanish cinema, and no, it's not just Spanish cinema, because Pedro Almodovar is one of the great directors, but I don't think that I really like Spanish cinema generally.
Okay.
Apart from Almodovar, because it felt, from that moment, it was like, of course, Del Toro. And it had that sort of playfulness that Del Toro has, for rightly or wrongly, and if you like it, great. But I didn't like Pan's Labyrinth. I don't think any of us really did, and we didn't like Crimson Peak, and it kind of had that same aesthetic to it, which stopped it from ever really elevating above what it was. It felt like we were seeing a very competent, well-told ghost story, very well told, very competent, but the way it was presented by the director wasn't very engaging, and outside of the final reveal at the end, it didn't really do anything new or scary for me with the ghost elements and the haunted house elements, if you want to call it that. But what is most disappointing to me is that there was a really great story in here that I think, without the ghostliness, without the haunted house stuff to it, would have been a lot more interesting to go into, which is that tortured idea of losing that child. And if it hadn't been presented from the off as a ghost story, and it was just on her search for where her son is, she goes down that route, and it takes you aback like halfway through that she's going down the route of mediums and whatnot, I think that would have been a really, really good film without the ghostly kids coming and involving themselves. Because then it would have been like, this terrible traumatic thing has happened, your child has gone missing, and in the pursuit of finding them, you go down all avenues, including exploring the supernatural. And then you could reveal some of the stuff that happened in that second half. Because if you do that, when you've already set it up as this very grounded, realistic idea of grief, or before grief, then I would have been down for it. But as it was, it all felt very expected. Everything that was happening all felt quite expected until the final reveal thing, which I enjoyed. Yeah, but we'll talk more about it in the main, but that's my general thoughts.
You know what? I actually agree with you. It's I don't think I liked it as much as I remembered liking it. I still think it's great though, but it does kind of walk those two lines, doesn't it? It's like it almost doesn't need to be a ghost film, because the real intriguing thing is the search for the son, and to find out that her hearing the knocking when she wakes up at night is actually him trying to get her attention.
A horrible idea.
Yeah,
absolutely horrible idea.
And
great.
That is better than the ghosts.
Yes,
like that is a better idea than just having the ghost in the house. It kind of almost waters that down a little bit, and to think that it could, by the end, where she's imagining, it could just be her mental state rather than something to do with a haunting kind of thing. And I do agree. Yeah, and this is why I felt the first three quarters weren't as gripping as I remember them being. I think because I leave more with that ending. I think that ending's really impactful for me. I think it's a great ending. But I leave with that. But watching the first three quarters, it is very, I think it is very by the books in terms of, like, especially Haunted House. I don't think there's anything really different you'd get from, like, that you wouldn't get in any other Haunted House film apart from that ending. That ending is the most original thing.
And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It's just that he's basically saying, you've seen these things before, I'm doing them. I'm like paying homage to them. And it's like, okay, yeah, you are. But that you're not doing anything above that, but you are paying homage to them quite well. Yeah.
You're right in though, what you're saying. Yeah, I agree. I think my favourite thing about it is the lost child and finding the child. It's nothing to do with the ghosts.
Can I ask you something, Paul?
Yeah.
I don't know if you had this thought as well, but after spending 5 minutes with Simon, I was like, this is Spanish Woody.
Because of the curly hair.
Curls.
Maybe it was just the curls, but it really made me think. And I was thinking, Paul is going to watch this and he's going to see his boy there. Did you see that?
I didn't really know. I didn't really see it. Obviously, it hit me.
Every time I saw him, I was like, "That's Woody."
It hit me with just the generalisation of she just lost her child. That's what hit me, but not the fact that this is like Woody. He's like representing Woody for me right now.
He's a Spanish Woody.
He's a Spanish Woody, yeah. El Woody.
El Woodya.
Woodya.
Did you find that because you're a parent now that it resonated that extra bit? Even though you say that it wasn't as good as you remembered.
I think because I knew it was coming. It didn't really... because I knew how it's playing out, I didn't really have to like try and imagine in my head what it would feel like for me, because I knew where it was heading, kind of thing. It could be different with a fresh watch or something, but because I know this so well, it just didn't hit me that way this time.
I'm not inclined to go back and rewatch this anytime soon, but when you know where it's heading, is there enough in there on a rewatch for you to go, oh, that means that, that's happening because this has happened?
Only small bits. Like, I do think it's great. Like, again, this is just about her involvement in her losing her son. Just how everything is kind of her fault, because she has this altercation she hides the information from Simon, and it makes him angry, and then she slaps him, and then obviously he goes and hides in the basement. And also he wanted to show her the basement. That was the whole point. And I think that's where she slapped him at that moment. And then she's the one who fucking gets the scaffolding poles and locks the door.
Yes.
And it's like, oh man, it's all you.
Okay. I was just going to say on that point in particular, I've got a few things as my contrarian questions to go, oh yeah, but why did this, blah blah blah. I'm not going on the defensive, but here is the kicker. Are we really supposed to believe that their son has been missing at least 6 months?
6 months, yeah.
And they haven't gone and looked in the basement of their house?
Supposedly they didn't know it was there because it was like a wallpapered over room. I mean, unless it's a very old house, so I imagine they didn't have plans for the house. But it's in a room that was wallpapered over and didn't have a doorknob.
Yeah.
So I imagine they just didn't know it was there. Hence why she finds it when she goes in the cupboard.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So that's
why he's like, come and see the house. Because obviously he's never been down there either.
So the reason that which I didn't understand, but was kind of cute, but the reason that he's hidden all these bits and pieces that she has to find and then replace, like doorknobs for other doorknobs and shit, is because one of those doorknobs then leads to that door.
Yeah. They only find one doorknob, I think.
Okay, my mistake. I thought that that they knew of that space underneath. I mean, if your kid went missing and you had the house, you'd probably just check if there is a secret door to a basement that you probably do have in that massive
could be in
fucking
any
house.
room.
Yes.
But I think it shows with the fact that they have a basement, but they're using that little small cupboard as a storage.
Yes.
Because they could have just put it down in the basement.
Yes, correct. Okay, fair enough. You batted that back.
Yeah. I think I do like that little plot line as well. The treasure hunting. I think that's fun. It's a nice little element. That does feel very Del Toro. Especially like it feels very Pan's Labyrinth, where they get stuff like the chalk, and they're chalk, like you got to use a chalk for something, and I like that little treasure hunting bit. I think it's nice. I
think broadly the thing with the way that Del Toro approaches these storytellings, for whatever his interest is, he has made such an impact in cinema, and I don't begrudge him that. I understand that people like him, and I can get why people like him. He's not personally to my taste, but whatever it is that's influenced him, his aesthetic is, let's take the childlike and put it in a monstrous world.
Yeah, in a scary situation.
It's like if you made Peter Pan, it would be good, but
like if you tried to make it's true. If you made Peter Pan more like, if you did a 15 rated Peter Pan.
Yeah, if he takes like already created content and makes it his own, that might be better than him creating his own original ideas.
But it doesn't quite do it for me. I can't fully immerse myself in the horror of something when there's some childlike elements. Case in point, again, the director, and I bet Del Toro said this, when the old lady, Benigna, is that her name?
Yeah.
When Laura goes out to the shed and Benigna's hiding in the shed late at night, right? Mm-hmm. There's that's quite a scary reveal, but then Benigna shuffles out of the shed and the soundtrack's going digga 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 digga. It's playful. It's playful.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Yeah. I get maybe you're trying to show the childishness in there, but it's like, ugh, yeah, you ain't joined it up enough for me. And because it isn't scary, because there is no malicious intent from any of the ghosts, whenever the ghosts are around, I never really felt that fear.
No, never. Never.
Unless, apart from when the old lady got hit by the truck or the van.
Yeah, what? Yeah, but you're not scared by that.
That's more of like that is a jump scare, just to make you jump.
It came out of the blue.
That is the grossest
Jumpiest.
horror-like thing that happened, really.
When that happened, I was expecting more of that throughout the film, especially the way her body was so mangled and everything.
What did you think of that practical effect?
I think it looked alright.
I liked it, but then I thought it was goofy. I couldn't decide if I liked it or not.
They should have flashed it.
Yes.
They shouldn't have held on it so long.
They held on it too long, you're right.
Yeah.
They spent too much money and time on it.
Yeah, like hold on it for 35 seconds.
There is. You are right that there is so much kind of influence from Del Toro. This is like the whole face smashing scene with the end. Is it got at the end of like a bottle? He smashes the guy's face in Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes.
And it's really brutal. And it's like
the broken bit of the bottle.
These
in the
kind
face.
of stuff in like compared to like the fairy tale stuff, it's like it's almost not supposed to go together. But this is kind of what we're mashing up in this film. And I agree. It doesn't necessarily work for me. There's no Del Toro films I love.
No,
There's some ones I think they're great.
Okay at absolute best, in my
His
opinion.
greatest for me is Blade 2, I think. But that's
I need
because
to revisit that.
it's already a franchise that I'm already invested in, so I think that's why it works for me. That's like what you say. If he does stories that people already know, it might work better than his own original ideas. Who are we to say? People fucking love these films, Pan's Labyrinth and stuff. They fucking call them masterpieces.
Kronos is good, but do you know why? I think, generally speaking, I think people love something like Pan's Labyrinth so much because they are not horror buffs. I reckon the majority of people who really praise Pan's Labyrinth are not really people who dig horror films, so they haven't been exposed to a lot of horror films. So when they see the limited amount of stuff that Del Toro's doing in that, it's shocking to them. Shocking enough. They're probably people who like a bit more of a serious film. So when they see that, it's like, oh, this is how I access silliness. Because horror as a genre for them is too silly for them to get involved in on an ongoing basis. Hence why they enjoy something like that. Not that Pan's Labyrinth is a horror film, but
I can see the merit in people loving that mashing of genres. In general, though, I'm not really into that kind of fantasy.
No.
Like the kind of fairies and goblins and all that kind of stuff. It's never really been my kind of thing. So it's like the films back in the day from my childhood, like Willow and stuff like that. I've never liked them. What's the
Labyrinth?
Labyrinth. Yeah, never been into those
Labyrinth's
kind of films. Never really done anything for me, and that's what it kind of feels like he's playing with. And it's like a kind of dark version of those stories.
Yes.
Even though they were quite dark back in the day, they had some dark elements to them, but he takes it almost one step further.
I mean, it has its place. He's carved out that niche. Whether he's producer or director, he's carved out that niche. What was the film that we saw at exactly the same feeling, Paul? The film that you and I saw at Fright Fest a few years ago.
What's it called? Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
Exactly.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Same sort of thing. Some horrific elements, but it's too childish. It's a kid's film. It's a teenager's film. A young teen's film.
I tell you how to do it. The way to properly do it is you need that scary thing to have a bit of personality. That is how you do it with children. That is amazing.
You have to kill kids. That's the other thing.
There has to be that as well.
But they killed kids in this. They killed kids.
It's true.
They killed all the kids
in Pan's Labyrinth as well.
Did they kill
dies
They
at the
killed
end.
the kids. Yes. This is very true.
Spoilers for Pan's Labyrinth. Sorry, everyone.
But see them. This is in how it's presented. Look at Serbian film. The kid lives, and it's horrific.
Ugh.
In Pan's Labyrinth, in this, the kid dies, and it's not horrific.
It's almost like
Dying is not the most horrific thing that can happen.
It carves it out as a fairy tale ending, though, doesn't it? As that she dies and then goes back to her parents or something.
Yeah, and in this, the kid dies, but is reunited with his mum, who looks after all the other children.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty sweet, though. I like that. I like the kind of Neverland Peter Pan ending because I do enjoy. I think it works. It works for me. That element. Literally, the last 20 minutes all works for me in this film. Apart from going back to the dad. You don't need that.
Lay the flowers.
Yeah, the lay the flowers.
I did think smiling. That was like my whole thing was like what's happened, like leaving it a little bit ambiguous to like
Yes.
people work out exactly what they thought had happened, whether she made it out or maybe she died or whatever along those lines. That you can it's open to opinion rather than just shutting it off.
That's the thing, yeah. They wanted to
Like,
make
we
it
want
solid.
you to tell
and it's
you
like,
he died, not like
it's like she's dead, by the way, everyone. It's like, yeah, we got it.
Yeah,
yeah.
quite clearly. We saw her taking them tablets.
But then it's
We
also
saw the
fun to
lighthouse
play
come
with the
back.
ideas that like she could not be dead.
Well,
I mean, it's obvious,
I don't
but like,
Yeah, I don't think there's any. I just like it better without that ending. Yeah. So
because the implication is that the dad is probably going to kill himself because he is seeing his wife or child or both walking in the door. That's why he looks up and sees and smiles as it cuts to black. Because we're told
the
you
guy
only
who
see the
gave
dead
no
when you're
shit
about to die.
anything happening. Is now
All right,
decides
Adam,
he's
I'm going
gonna
to take
kill
you to
himself.
task on this. I don't think this is true, what you're
He
saying.
was just, he'd fucking just left her.
Think about no, but for how much not patience. They've both gone through the loss of a child. They've been together for a significant amount of time. He has been really good and supportive of her going down all those routes. When she wanted to get the medium in, he was resistant, but he's there and supporting. The only reason he rallies against it is when the medium is like, the boy is dead, and he's not willing to hear it. And he's like, fuck it. If the kid's dead, then he's dead. You're not going to bring him back. If he's alive, you are not the one who's going to help us find him. He gets mad at the medium. Then it's because Laura is so obsessed. He says to her, come on, let's leave this house. He sees Laura is so obsessed by the grief. It's
And once
about
again, he
obsession
agrees.
again. Yeah.
But would you not, if she was going to go hunting around this house, would you not stay with her?
Well, of course, we would do it for our actual loved ones, but for dramatic
He just
purposes.
gets in the car, gives her a kiss, and walks away. It's just like,
Well, he's
he
going through his own
wants
grief.
to leave. Yeah.
I know he wants to
you're
leave,
also
but like sometimes you can't let your wife, who's obviously not taking this really that well, just fucking take your house apart and crawl through fucking drains and wherever she wants to go to find this kid. You do
But
it
if you
with
don't
her.
believe in ghosts, you're going to think, okay, let me give her a timeout. Let me give her a couple of days here then.
Yeah. You need to mend your own demons in some ways. You
Still
can't be forced
there
to.
with her. Whether she,
Adam, are you telling me that months and months and months later, you of all people would stay? I'll stick around then. I'll still stick around.
If you wanted to stick around and find your child that you brought up, then yeah, you're gonna have a bit more fucking attachment.
I will disagree and say that I think he knows he's dead at that point.
Yeah, he might know, but you don't do it. If you're not doing it for the kid, you're doing it for her. Yeah.
There wasn't any. They made an agreement, right? He said we need to leave, and she said let me stay for 2 days.
Is
There
that
was
what she
no,
said?
Yeah, she said let me have 2 days. She
Yeah,
said.
and he would
Oh, well, there
okay,
you
and
go.
then you go, all right, I'll hang around here. I'm not going to leave you.
No, but
You're
she
looking for my
wanted
child.
to live there and because she has so much memories and so much attachment to the place.
Yes.
She needed that time just to kind of unwind and be like, okay, let me mend my own demons on my own. I need to do this.
And also, if we gender reverse this, and this was a man who was obsessed with finding the child, and the woman had been there all that time, and then the woman says, we have to leave, and the man's going, no, I'm staying, I've got to find him. If the woman left, you'd be like, well, I understand it. You wouldn't be going, oh, the woman should have stayed by him, because you'd say subservient wife to the man all the time. In this case, the man can equally get frustrated and be like, I've had enough at this point.
It's not even. I don't think it's even frustration. It's more. I think it is shows his love for her that he's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to let you stay. I'm fine with that. I will say goodbye. I'll let you do your thing, and come and find me when you've done what you need to do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well. He's stuck by it all this time. He's a man of science. He's a doctor, and then she is going totally the opposite direction. He's been literally plotting out all like missing people, finding on maps any sightings. He's like very like by the book. This is real life, and she's bringing in mediums and everything. And it's like he's still been sticking by her the whole time, even to the end of being like, "We need to leave, but I'm going to give you 2 days because that's what you want."
Yes. They both have their grief, Adam. With all these noises coming out of you, are you possessed?
I just don't feel like he would leave her like that. I don't know.
Well, it felt natural. If he'd left her immediately off the back, you would say arsehole.
Yeah. It had been 6 months.
They had
Nine.
those 6 months.
Has it been 9 months by the
I
time?
think it was 9 months, yeah.
Well, it's
there
6
you
months
go.
when they do the time jump, and then there was some
There's been
transition,
time,
I suppose.
She was in a wheelchair after that 6 months.
That's true.
Was it after the 6 months she was in a wheelchair?
Yeah, she was in the wheelchair. No, it was before.
Oh, no, it was a couple of days after, wasn't it? After
Yeah.
he'd gone missing, yeah.
Yes. Here's a question. What was the relevance of saying that Simon was HIV positive?
Because he's close to death. That was how he read it. He was saying if you're
So
close
you
to
could
death,
see
you can
these
see
things.
these people beyond the death. And that's why he went running off and found his friends. Because all the kids that had died in the house, he could speak to them because he's not dead, but he's dying. And the closer you get to death, so the closer she was willing to give up was how she found out where he actually was. Like, she's now almost dead. That she could find out where these people were.
When they were saying that, I thought they meant like literally because he was about to die, as in death was around the corner for him because he was about to fall and break his neck.
Well, no, it's almost like they're prolonging it, aren't they, with those pills?
I suppose.
That's why the dad says, how long will I survive if I didn't take these pills? And he said, I think he says weeks, and I think that's why it's even more heartbreaking, right? Because you're trying to find your child, and you know he's not taking his medication.
Oh, yeah. I wish I'd clocked that probably. Yeah.
It's like at one point I think she or he looks at the pills, and it's almost like he hasn't been taking these for 6 months. He's pretty much dead.
Just to say, HIV is not a death sentence anymore. Nobody will die from HIV anymore. They have the medication for that.
I know, but he doesn't have the medication.
I know. Well, okay. That answers that.
Yeah, I think that's why they're saying that's why he's so prone to seeing these things, because he's so close to death, because he is taking his pills, but his body has a problem, and it's almost like that unlocks this thing where he can see them, because if he didn't take them, he could die, kind of thing. So he is close.
Okay. All right. Fine. What about the character of Thomas as a scary ghost?
Jason Voorhees.
Spooky ghost. It's Jason Voorhees in a way. I think that we've moved on since the 80s when deformities should be considered a scary thing. That's what I thought now with my 21st century contemporary lens, is that when we see people now, particularly kids actually, with deformities, like that reveal shouldn't be part of the scare, which it was. And I know at the end he's a nice kid, but at the time when it's sort of revealed, the fact that he has a sack over his head because he's so hideous underneath.
I think he puts that on himself, though, doesn't he?
Oh, I know that, but for us, for us as an audience, when you're watching it, it makes him scary because underneath, what does he look like? I think we need to do away with that trope now. I understand it's been there for a while in history, but
of course. I get that. Yeah,
Elephant Man did it and moved on.
Elephant Man revealed that there is a human beneath that.
Yes.
He doesn't need to wear the sack on his head.
Shouldn't be scared. No. I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm
poor
not
John
an
Merrick.
animal. No, I'm a man.
Couldn't lay down.
Can't lay down, but I'm a man.
I can't lay down. Well, true men lay down. That's why I lay down.
Just get on the bed, John. Get on the bed, lie down.
John.
Just get on the bed. You can lie down.
How many podcasts are you going to do this on?
I can drain you. I can drain your head.
I can drain your head. Fuck me. Do you want to leave bed?
Drainage, Merrick.
Drain his head.
Drainage. If you have a big head and I have a straw,
I drink your head shake.
it's terrible. I'm not sure. You make a judgment call on if that's Stacey.
I wish I never did There Will Be Blood.
Maybe,
I wish I just never did it to make all this stuff come up.
I'm so glad you did. So glad you did. It changed the podcast forever.
Might say it again before the end of the podcast.
Why is... Okay, so Tom... All right, here we go. So Thomas, the ghost, right? We're led to believe that Simon is actually seeing him, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah? So Thomas has led Simon to that room under the stairs, the secret room.
Mm-hmm.
A, why? And B, why when she finds Simone's body at the end, why is he dressed like Thomas? If this is a ghost.
I think it's more the fact that maybe his mask was down there because that was his house. That's where he was put.
So you think that Simone went into that basement and dressed up as Thomas?
I don't think he dressed. I think he just put the mask on.
Maybe it was the mask. So that's where I thought it was another bad directing choice. Like aesthetically, it's good to see and make you think it's Thomas at first, then you see it's Simone. But actually, I couldn't see the logic as to why he would be dressed as Thomas.
Yeah.
And is Thomas bad or good? Did Thomas intend for Simone to get hurt? What was he doing? Was he just playing with Simone?
So this is what I think. Same as it was before.
Same as it ever was.
Same as it ever was. I see it as so Thomas can, or Simon can see Thomas now. So he uses him as almost a conduit to basically help him rest by finding all the bodies. He basically wanted to do a treasure hunt so that they could end up finding the burnt bodies of the children, right? Because there was obviously a murder. And then that is why when Simon goes down into the basement, that's where he's starting his hunt to try and understand what's happened to the kids. Then Thomas appears to the mother who's trying to search for Simon, because obviously I don't think Thomas wants him to be found yet, because he wants him to figure out what's going on downstairs. That's why she pushes her into the bathroom and locks the door. Right. And then when she comes out, she's searching for him and then slams that door, and that's where he gets locked in.
Yes. Okay.
And then from then, it's more a case of, okay, we actually need to do a treasure hunt to find Simon now, and also find out what's happened to us.
Yeah.
That's what I see it as, anyway. But there's also must be some kind of mystical thing, because the fact that she is now seeing the ghosts must mean that in the duality of everything must mean that something knows that she's going to kill herself.
I think she's given up. I think she's given, all she wants to do now is die because she's not with her son. She's willing to.
That's maybe.
Just maybe. because it's around the corner. They know whatever the spirit plane is makes itself accessible to her because they're aware that she's about to join them. Yeah. And on that note, I've made a note of it, and then I forgot about it for the rest of the film. But I knew that there had to be some connection. When Simone wakes up at the beginning of the film, there's no. When Laura wakes up at the beginning of the film next to her husband, she rises from the bed with a sheet over her head, and then takes it down. Then she goes next door, and Simone does the same thing. He rises from the bed with a sheet on his head, and I made a note to say, what does this mean? I've written, we see mother and son rise with a sheet over their head. There you go, because they're going to be ghosts. The traditional image.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
they
true.
tell us from the off.
Yeah, that's very true.
And Paul was very cross about it because he said, well, you didn't make that clear that that's what happened. You told me that they were actually alive, but you've changed the narrative so that we now think that they're actually ghosts.
Let's start this again.
And it's a lazy film. It's a lazy film. So Paul's actually giving this a 5 out of 10, listeners, by the way.
I'm happy with that symbolism. What I did like as well.
Ed Norton comes along and says, you didn't actually see that. The sheet was actually over the dead's head. The dead's head.
The dead's head. So talking about that whole close to death thing, seeing as that means the spirit plane knows that she's going to die at some point, that's why it opens up. That's obviously what kind of must be happening with Simon as well then. That's why he's seeing them. And then I kind of because this is what Thomas says, so it kind of does make sense then. Thomas says to him that he has no parents and that he is going to die.
Yeah, so then he's a terrible child, that Thomas, if that's the case.
But that means he must know. But then, and it's like, so does that mean he's leading him to his own death?
Well, so there you go. But then that reinforces Thomas as an evil character. That then says, out of all the characters in this film, the evil one is the deformed child.
Yeah, but I don't think it is trying to say that.
But there's an idea that possibly, because Thomas also is the one who tormenting Laura, pushes her, makes her have the accident in the bathroom and all that.
He's also the one who killed the other kid. Or was he the one who died from the act?
He's the one who died.
Thomas who died? Yeah, Thomas
died. He got trapped in the caves. But I don't think I think it sees him as like a kind presence, because especially just at the end, I think it's a nice little thing when Thomas walks into the room and he comes and takes the blind girl's hand and takes her over to what's her name? Laura.
Oh right, yeah.
And then she's like, "It's Laura. She came back."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a nice little thing. It's like she's finally come back to her friends. It's quite sweet.
Yeah, see, I get that it was a nice ending. I guess I just didn't want a sweet ending. I didn't want that sweetness. I wanted
it's not necessarily sweet though, is it? She just killed herself.
I know, she killed herself. She just found her dead child and she killed herself. But they sweeten it by saying, but they're together in death. Yeah. So at least they're together. And
that is true.
But that's just me. I don't like
that. That is like the Del Toro thing though, isn't it? That's what they do with Pan's Labyrinth as well.
It's like in Serbian film where I know I've said this, but the boy survives, and then the dad is like, well, "This is horrendous. At least I can blow all our brains out. Let's all lie here, and we'll all die, and we'll be united in death." And then even that moment is robbed from them because they're filming it, and they're like, "Start with the little one." You're like, "Oh me, God, man. Even death doesn't end it."
Oh, what an ending! I mean, that film is better than this film.
Oh yeah, my goodness. But then there's a whole swathe of people that would say, how in good conscience can we hear you talk about The Orphanage when you say Serbian film is better? And the reason is because it's what you're exposed to. If you have more exposure of a certain genre or a certain style of filmmaking, then the thing that is more palatable is the thing that you are more likely to think is better. If you have it's like anything in life, like anything. Paul with DC, all of the comics that you read, you know the stories intrinsically. The story that immediately appeals to me is not going to be the one that appeals to you because you have an in-depth knowledge of it, so you know exactly the one that is really good quality. Mm-hmm. Adam, your absolute love of music, the kind of thing if someone came up to you and said, "Oh, I love this band," you'd be like, "Yeah, they're okay, but actually they're a pretender. There's all these bands that are a million times better." If you have an in-depth knowledge of a genre in film and a like of it and an understanding of it, then you're more likely to be critical of a film like this, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
What did you think of the scene? I can't work out if I liked it or not. Again, comes down to the director, the way he did it. When she's an adult and she's doing the 1, 2, 3 knock on the wall, and the kids keep appearing closer.
I do like. I think it's a good scene. I think it's well made scene.
I can't decide. It feels like it should have been scary, and it wasn't.
That's the thing, yeah. I
think there's nothing in this film that's scary. Is it like a 12A or something? I do think it is that same.
Look at the face of Big Gone.
Yeah, it's got to be a 15. True. It's got to be a 15.
Whatever her name is.
Bedelia. Where's my cake, Bedelia? Where's my Thomas, Bedelia?
Benigna, that's it. Yeah, look at her prosthetic face, or part CGI face. That's not a fucking 12A.
Oh no.
Must be 15 at least.
Yeah.
Or 15. It wouldn't be any more than 15.
Well, if you're 15, you've got to lean into it.
It felt like it should have been scary, but when I was watching, I think like it was a directing choice. It was bold, but it was like, I didn't work for me. There was no music in that bit. So when she's doing it and the camera keeps swinging, because it's all one take, isn't it?
Yeah.
The camera keeps swinging from her to the kids getting closer, and it felt like I should be scared, but I think because ultimately the kids are all nice, they're not evil, the director just decided not to present them in a scary way in that scene.
I have to say, though, it is because of our overexposure to horror films.
Maybe.
If you play this to any other person who's not that familiar with horror films, that would scare them.
Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would think so.
You could watch this in a cinema with people; they'd be screaming left, right, and centre, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they'll be covering their eyes because you're waiting for a jump scare or something, which they kind of give you, but it doesn't. It's the tap on the shoulder, and then it's like it's almost like the adventure music, like chase me.
Yes,
that's what it goes into.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. The tap and then the run.
Yeah.
The thing throughout this whole film that I thought was scary or had a mood of scariness, which again wasn't particularly original because it's been done in things like Poltergeist and even things like Wreck to an extent, was when the medium comes and she's walking from room to room. because there was tension there, because it's like, okay, what's she going to see? It's like, okay, she's probably going to encounter a ghost, there'll be a jump scare, but that actually never happens.
No.
It's the anticipation of it.
It's almost, I think it's pretty
the
drawn out.
anticipation is always better, though. Anticipation for jump scares is always better than
but you
scare.
normally like a little payoff.
The payoff for that scene is the fact that she wasn't actually walking, she's where she was all along, apparently.
So that was unsettling, you're right, because when he shoots the pencil up the paper back to that room, I thought, does that mean that she suddenly ran, like in a burst of energy?
Imagine when the cameras come on a bit early, and she's like, "Oh, she's running for some reason."
Yeah.
I've been here all along. I didn't move.
I didn't move. I
didn't move.
I didn't
I've
need
got
to
my
move.
oil
My
well
milkshake
coming
takes it.
Thomas drank my milkshake.
I was in HR's room. HW, sorry. HR.
But see, human resources, they'll be telling you directly. But there was a nice eerie mood. They set it up quite nicely in the first 30 minutes to be eerie, particularly the shots on the beach. I thought they were the most beautiful shots in the whole film when they went to that cave.
Yeah.
And all the shots there look really nice. And it's a shame that we didn't get a bit more of that, because then I think the house just became a very, like, just a dull setting, like visually a very dull setting. But there was enough in there to enjoy from time to time. I didn't like two cheap effects. I'll tell you the two cheap effects. One was after Benigna's hit by the car, and the dad is helping her, and then he looks up, and for some reason he puts his hand to his face and covers his face with her blood. All right? And then they do the same thing when Laura goes down into the basement and finds the dead kids. She puts her hand to her face and smears their decayed dust all over her face.
Yeah.
I was like,
Do you think it's more the case that they're so in the moment that they just overcome? They don't know they've got stuff on their hands. They're just like, oh shit.
Possibly, but I just think it's that director, unfortunately, with a first
it's more of
film,
a visual, like,
yeah, being like, oh, how can
pleasing.
I get this? How can I get this aesthetic across?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not saying a different director would have made this an incredibly much better film, but I feel like it could have been a little more visually appealing and engaging in the hands of another director. Even Del Toro.
Yes. Yeah, there is something in this film that's interesting, and I feel like if you let him roll with it, he might have done better. But I think I don't know how much Del Toro got involved. Like you said, he doubled the budget and doubled the filming schedule.
He needed to triple that budget.
Well, not even triple it. I think he just needed to like get it for him and then stay away from it. Like I feel there's too much of his influence in this film.
I feel like if it was given to him, he would have made it even more fantastical.
Yeah,
I would have lost it.
There'd have been gears turning left, right, and centre as well, wouldn't there?
Yeah,
he loves a good gear turn.
A rotating house that
yes,
all the rooms keep changing.
100%. The doors would have 100% have been rotating away.
Oh, and all the ghosts would have been red CGI like that, like in Crimson Peak.
Plenty of red. And there'd have been a little pixie. Thomas would have been a pixie rather than a boy covered up with a sack.
I think it proves at least that we like this ghost story more than a Del Toro ghost story.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Del Toro's been involved in the podcast a fair few times. In various shapes and forms, whether it's as a director or as a producer.
Yeah. It's our fourth, I think, if we're counting him as in some way involved in the film.
See, he's not someone that I dislike. I actually really appreciate his takes. He reminds me a little bit of, to an extent, Keanu Reeves, and to an extent, Edgar Wright, in that I'm not a massive fan of any of them, but I love their love of movies. I absolutely love Del Toro's love of movies. Yeah.
There's a passion there, yeah, for sure.
I could imagine talking to him about movies would be fantastic. I can imagine he would be so supportive of so many independent projects that are totally different to the sort of stuff he's doing. I just don't really like his output.
Fair enough.
Apart from Kronos, which I must say I haven't seen in a long, long time, but Kronos, Spanish language, it's about a boy and his granddad becoming a vampire very slowly, essentially. And I remember that being quite horrific.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that one.
There's one particular scene that Yeah, but again, that could be the bottle to the face scene, in that it's the only shocking scene in the whole movie because it's the only one I can remember. And actually, now I think about it, Kronos descends into a hell of a lot of fantasy at the end. It's almost like a defense mechanism as a human being. Like Del Toro's like, I like the darkness.
Let me comfort you. He wants to make it dark and comfort you at the same time.
Exactly. I don't want to linger in the darkness. Let me give some light. Things are going to be all right. And maybe he needs that for himself.
It's almost like a parent telling a child a ghost story in their bed, all snuggly and warm. It's like, okay, you're protected. I'm here.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this ghost story.
Do you tell Woody? Have you told Woody any ghost stories yet?
Oh my God! I put on. I got my new TV. Finally,
Yes.
everyone. And I was like, okay, I need to test it. So let me think of something that he'd like. I got out.
Serbian film.
Funnily enough, I got out a Jurassic World, the latest one though, and I got out, and they have a short film in it called Battle at Big Rock. It's a little short film that like basically promoted that the film was coming out, and it showed like a family at a little campsite, and suddenly dinosaurs come into the forest because this is where they've been let out into the real world,
right?
And this massive dinosaur comes and it's basically attacking this family in a camper van, and the whole camper van flips, right? And there's a baby sitting in a little high chair, and he's strapped to the high chair while the camper van's still like been pushed over, so he's like almost like midair, and this dinosaur comes in through the window and's trying to snap the baby and bite him, and Woody is screaming. And I'm like, this was not the right time. He was not ready for this. He was like, his whole body was shaking. He thought the baby was going to get eaten.
Was he like scared afterwards as well? Like, did he not sleep and all that kind of stuff?
No, he was fine. We watched the rest of the thing, but I had to like reassure him, like, it's okay. He's okay. He's going to be fine.
So ghosts ain't scary anymore. It's dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, yeah.
To be fair, I'd be more scared of a dinosaur than a ghost.
If it's these children ghosts, then you won't be scared. Or maybe you would be. I'm probably scared if I saw a child in my house.
What would be... Yeah.
It's the figurines of ghosts and all that. Like that night after I watched this film, I was in my kitchen and there's a light from the car park, and it sometimes kind of comes through the trees at the back of the house at the moment because there's no leaves on them. And I was in my kitchen and I was looking against the cupboards and I could see my head, and then I could see the reflection of all the trees moving in the light. And I was like, what about if like another head just appeared next to me? I fucking shit myself.
Nah. The thing you need to worry about is what was looking back up at you that you couldn't see because you were lit.
Yeah. Someone standing in the darkness.
Yeah,
they're watching me drink my glass of water.
They were in the water.
Yes.
All those bacteria ready to kill you.
I mean, well, I was about to bring up a topic, but it's actually our Patreon. I was going to say, what are the ghost films that actually scare you? But we may cover some.
Are we
of them
done with
in
films
the
that scare us, or films
no,
that
but
we like?
some of them might be.
Well, whatever you want to say, or whatever form of ghost story that you think's better than this, I guess.
Oh, heavens, yes. Heavens, yes.
Should we go to give our final thoughts on this then? Any more points to say?
I think. Oh yes. Just a little one that is silly. When she's panicked looking for Simone after he goes missing in the house, she runs outside to what is quite clearly a little girl dressed in like a lacy white dress and rips the mask off as if it's going to be
Stupid.
him. Again, it's the director. That's on the director.
They could have just found a child with at least brunette hair.
Yeah. Just make them seem like gender, whatever the term is, neutral, so that it's hard to tell. But no, she runs to what is quite clearly a little girl.
And I was thinking at this moment as well, it's like none of these people are going to send their children here, I'm sorry.
Never.
You're running around screaming.
I
Where's
didn't
her
even
own
realise
child?
what was going on. I didn't know what was going on at that point. I thought it was just a party. I was like, why is she having a big party at the house?
I know.
It was a very unexplained party.
It was a way to. It's like, this is our open house, so you can, if you want to send your child here or something. But it's like, why would someone want to send their own child there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't get it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
And it was just yeah. There's lots of different parts that you could say were red herrings and stuff, but it's kind of like why did Benigna even really turn up? Why'd she suddenly choose then to turn up at the house for no reason whatsoever?
Grief took over her.
Grease lightning.
Grease lightning.
Imagine she did the grease lightning. I wouldn't have been surprised in this film with that tinkle music that they did. Also, that scene when when Laura's gets her hand slammed in the door wasn't filmed very well because it was such a soft slam. You can see the way the door closes. It's not a slam. It doesn't look like a believable slam. And I almost think like that is a case of, in an edit or something, Del Toro perhaps saying, "Oh, soften that. Don't make it seem so brutal," because the blood on her hand is not consistent with the soft slam. And when she yanks her hand out, she propels herself backwards into that bath completely unnecessarily. The way she propels herself back into that bath is like she's been shot by a shotgun. It's like that is not a natural reaction.
And then the damage on the hand doesn't correspond with how far she flew.
No,
because it would have pulled her skin off. It made me think of Doctor Sleep, where she shut Rose's hat in Rose's hat.
Rose's hat shuts Rose's hat in the door, so she has to go and buy a new one.
where she was going through her like vault in her head, and then her hand was shut in one of the drawers, and she pulls her hand out, and like her whole skin is hanging off her hand. It's like, oh fuck!
There you go. We needed Flanagan.
Hard.
We needed Flanagan to direct this story, basically.
Basically,
he would have done a good job.
Yeah.
Did we talk about the fact that Flanagan is? Maybe you mentioned it. I can't remember that Flanagan's going to do the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
TV
mentioned that. Yeah.
Good hands.
Good hands. Hands with the skin falling off.
Yes.
Lovely. Okay, shall I say my final thoughts on this film?
Yeah.
Okay. I agree. There's something about that Spanish kind of horror fantasy that doesn't work so well, and it's not as satisfying as like an all-out just ghost story when you put it with a bit of fantasy as well. I don't remember the first 3/4 being as slow as it did. I don't think it hit me as well as it did when I was younger, but I think the ending still holds up and I think it's great. I think it's really good and it's strong, and I still give it the same score I give it. I think it's an 8.
High stuff, guys. This is high stuff. 8.
Yes. So my final thoughts are: I enjoyed the film. I didn't love the film. There's a lot of things in the film I like, but there's more things I think I just didn't work for me. And overall, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Fair. Saw that coming.
You probably see this one coming as well. Like I say, very competently made. I've seen other versions of the story already told. We all have ghost stories, haunted stories, so perhaps being a little bit jaded by it, that's why I wasn't won over by any of it, and it wasn't particularly scary, but I did very much enjoy the storyline of a missing child, and I was hoping that it would have a more gritty ending, and in many ways it did, because it wasn't a ghostly fantasy thing. I thought if ghosts had hidden him away somewhere for some reason or something, that was going to be a cop-out. So the fact he was actually dead was good. I just didn't appreciate that second hour when it really leaned into a lot of the familiar tropes. A better director could have raised the score for me, but not by much. It's a 6 out of 10 from me.
6? Whoa.
I kind of saw. I'm not surprised, but I thought you might have gone for a 7.
Yeah, I thought you might have gone for a 7. That's fine. It's a 7. Straight 7.
Oh, Lord.
That's gone well.
There's a lot of films in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of films in a 7.
I tell you, it ain't moving above for this film for me. So, Halloween Kills. It's not better than that for me. Paul, you have to say it's better.
No. I'm going to put Halloween... Oh no, wait. Sorry. I was thinking that was Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
Halloween Kills is
above
a better
Halloween
film.
Kills.
Adam... Yeah, so so Halloween Kills is bottom, so it goes above Halloween Kills.
Well, there you go, that's fine.
Fuck me.
It's cool.
Fuck that. Shame. Shame is better.
Nah, Shame
No, I
isn't
said
better.
Halloween Kills is better.
No, Adam, you gave Halloween Kills a 6, mate.
And I gave... Oh, really? Oh, well,
Yes,
I think
you
it's
did.
a better film. I'd rather rewatch Halloween Kills.
Ah, well, you got to think
Well,
about
you've done
these
it now.
things,
So that's
boy.
why the thing why scores aren't always thingy. Sometimes there's a little bit about like a score as a score, but there's
You
sometimes it's in
slagged
your
off
heart.
Halloween
You
Kills something rotten.
can't put something high when you give it a lower number.
I know.
We can sometimes. There
You
is.
can
there
only
is-
change
because
it
it
at
doesn't
the end
work
of the
with
year.
maths.
Oh,
The
it
maths
annoys
doesn't
you on your
work.
little list.
This
Does
is
it?
the way. This is the way. This is our scores, son.
Shame.
Yeah, shame. Shame is better.
Shame is better than. I'm gonna say it until you say, "Oh, you gave that a 6." You can't give
Okay,
that
yeah,
one.
I don't think shame is good. As good.
What did Adam give shame, though? 7. Okay, fine. That works. All right, so
Okay.
that's where it sits then.
Between shame and Halloween Kills.
Just in Shame and Halloween Kills. Good heavens.
Good
Halloween
heavens.
Kills less than Orphanage.
What can I say?
You're about to get Ben's about to start.
I would have
he's
said
about to start
Halloween
ranting
Ends is
about
better,
something.
though, so that's something at least.
I got to say, you got me snoring over here.
Snoring!
So that's where it is, folks. It comes in at about 100th out of all the films we've done. It's about 20 off the bottom 20. Because we've done about 150 episodes roughly now. In fact, in terms of films, that was our 149th. So the 150th film that we're going to cover on this podcast, Adam is not even going to be here for.
Oh, shit.
Is that sad?
We're going to have guests on, and you ain't going to be here for it. And we're not going to tell anyone who the guests are.
Oh, yeah.
That's exciting, isn't it?
That's exciting.
Sorry, Adam.
Fucking hell. The 150th episode, and Adam's not here. That's me. Sorry, that's me turning my hob on. I can't believe it.
That was a good joke.
That was.
Very good joke.
Get rid of me.
Wonderful. Well, we have one comment from a Twitter follower saying what they thought of the film. Do you want to hear it?
Say? Yeah.
They said, I can't even find it now. Where is it? It is from Parker J. Lyons. And they say,
Great name.
They say, an underrated horror classic.
Well, there you go. See,
Horror
the thing
classic.
is, do you think that The Orphanage is a film that is better regarded by people who are horror fans or people who aren't really horror fans? Who do you think is more likely to like it?
It's a tough one.
Mm.
It's not. I mean, it is horror, but it's more. Well, I guess it is horror. It feels more like drama than horror in a way.
I feel like if you were someone who didn't like horror films, you could probably access this and appreciate it more.
Well, there we go. That is The Orphanage.
Oh fuck! And that's the end of 2007, boys. Which means we need to
This
wrap
is the
up our thoughts
31st
on
of December 2007. The clock's about to hit midnight. What's your final thoughts on the year?
Yeah, we're about to leave the year. So, boys,
The ball is
highlights of
dropping. We're in Times
2007.
Square.
We'll all take it in turns in different orders. We'll start with Paul.
I started secondary school. Actually, no, I was 2 years into secondary school. I was already in secondary school by then. I was going into year 8.
Okay, in 2000, yeah, we should add that as an element. What was happening for us in 2007? We should start every year rather than end every year with this. In 2007, I finished uni.
In 2007, I would have been starting to learn how to drive, and I would have also just started doing my film studies and media studies course.
Oh. Yeah, I was in year 8. I was going into year 8 at school.
We were all at different stages.
We were at different stages of our adulthood, like we are now.
Interesting. Try and work out what age we are from that.
Funnily enough, I was working out in Spain in 2007. I wonder if I could have gone to a cinema locally and seen The Orphanage in its native language without subtitles.
You would have understood nothing.
I would have understood gracias. Por favor.
He said thank you. He said thank you.
Plásticas. Bolsas plásticas. You know what bolsas plásticas is?
Something to do with plastic.
Plastic bags.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I worked in a shop over there and I had to buy plastic bags for the shop many times.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, let's get back to the film stuff. So let's start with Paul. Paul, what was your best scene of 2007?
Are we doing best scene that basically shows you what the whole year was about?
If you want to do it that way, yes.
It's
It's open. It's open if you want to do it. Yeah, you go for it.
Well, I think this 2007 round has mostly been about regret in a way. I feel like everyone seems to regret stuff. So, in Once, we had the regret of your partners, leaving your partners and the relationship you had, and rectifying that, I guess. What was next? Then we had There Will Be Blood, and this moved me on to the scene that I love for Regret, which is Daniel playing from the church. I abandoned my boy.
Yeah,
I abandoned my son. And what else we got? What other films have we done?
Zodiac.
Come on, there's loads of regret in there. The way your obsession has given you your regrets in your life. And then lastly, the regret of just slapping your child before he disappears, and then the regret of fucking putting some scaffolding poles in front of a door and then basically killing your own child.
This for me, it's all about abandonment.
Okay.
There you go.
Like,
there you go.
he abandoned his son.
Yes.
In Once, he abandoned his girlfriend, and
Didn't she abandon him?
Well, she abandoned him. Sorry, and the husband abandoned his wife for the other. What's her name?
There you go.
In what you call it, Zodiac, he abandoned his family in pursuit of.
Yes, there you go.
And then in
look
this
at that.
one, she's abandoned, and all the kids
So
are
what was your
abandoned.
Boy.
What was your favourite scene, or the scene that
My
represented that
favourite
best
scene
for you?
is I know you guys are going to say the other one, so I'm going to say this one. It is them in the in the music shop in Once.
Oh yeah, I thought that bit.
playing.
Well, okay. That's a very good one. I keep playing your game, so you both already said the word, but the theme for 2007 for me is obsession. In Once, he was obsessed with getting back to his girlfriend. He's obsessed with his music. He was obsessed with getting to London, and that was his drive. Obsession. Daniel Plainview was obsessed with greed, with oil, with winning, always being on top. Zodiac, everyone was obsessed with solving it. Every character was driven by obsession, and in this, she became obsessed with finding her son.
Very good. All work in their own way.
Look at that. So we got regret, obsession, and what did you say, Adam?
Abandonment.
Abandonment. Look at that. Fucking dark year. But you'll be surprised to know that my best scene of 2007 was also the piano shop scene.
Ah.
It's too beautiful and too pure to not be.
I just thought you two would go for There Will Be Blood, so I thought.
Don't you worry, there's plenty of There Will Be Blood representation in the other categories. Character that represents it all for you?
Daniel Plainview.
Daniel Plainview.
Has to. He's the boy.
He's the boy. So it's Daniel across the board, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. And the line of 2007.
Give me the blood, Eli.
Just give me the
Do you take the blood? Yes, I do.
Mine's also a Daniel one. It's drainage, Eli, you boy.
You boy.
I'm going to have just the milkshake lines then. It's all again.
Let's hear the voice.
I'm not going to do the voice because I can't
I
do
really
the
want to hear
voices.
the voice.
I want
can't
to hear
do
Adam do the
voices.
voice. You
Try it.
can.
I drink your milkshake.
Yeah.
The hell
Perfect.
happened to you there?
That was him on helium.
Yeah. He's lost. He's choking out. He's got no air left
He was
in his
talking
lungs.
through the straw.
He was. I knew that There Will Be Blood was going to whitewash everything. That's why for the best scene, I thought I want to give it to the only other scene in the whole year that really comes close. And
Fair do.
it's too nice and too pure. And in a series of films that were all quite dark, which the last three fucking were, Once was the light one, and Once is like the glimmer of hope, the glimmer of beauty in all of it.
Very nice.
Because there was no hope in these last three films we watched.
Mm-hmm.
No hope.
Absolutely.
And maybe there wasn't in Once. Well, there was hope. He was hoping for things. I think we should add a best supporting character to this.
Best supporting character.
Yeah, supporting character. So not a lead. I will go with...
Oh, shit.
I'm going to go for whatever one you wouldn't class as a supporting character in Once.
Um,
I would say it's her.
the only supporting characters in Once. No, she's not really supporting. Supporting is
she's
like
a
his
lead,
dad. I think they're both co-leads to an extent in that.
I think he's the focus of the story, isn't it? And she is.
Yeah.
I'm still going for There Will Be Blood. It's Paul Dano.
Yeah, Paul Dano. It's got to be Paul Dano. Yeah. Yeah, it has to be.
It's just another way to bring up There Will Be Blood again.
I know. Fucking what a whitewash. Incredible film. Deserves all the spoils. And where are we going next? Are we talking about that yet or not? Or are we going to reveal that after the special episode?
We'll reveal that after the special next week.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you going to reveal the
People can
special?
hold tight.
No,
You
but
can at least tell people
we're
what the
not.
film is. What are you talking about?
Nope,
No.
not gonna say.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
top secret.
Well, then you can listen to the episode when it comes out as well, can't you, Adam?
I will do. I will listen to Ben's little feature on The Last of Us as
You
well.
can do.
Yes,
What's
I do need
that
to
got
listen
to do with it?
Well, we're just talking
he doesn't
about
want
what
to listen
people
to
can
our
listen to
episode.
in the middle
Oh, yeah.
time. They need to listen to it. Yeah, you can listen to Ben on the Francis podcast talking about The Last of Us, and
The Francis podcast.
I don't know
it's
what
not
it's
even a
called.
It's not
What's
even
it
a
called?
podcast.
what is
Adam
it?
is the absolute worst person to work in any sort of PR or like marketing or anything
People
like
like
that.
on Apple Podcast. The Francis podcast. Can't seem to find it.
It's
Okay,
called
well, on
France. It's Francis Films.
On YouTube.
It's his YouTube channel. You can
That's
go
it.
on there, and we're talking about the Last of Us TV series weekly. He likes it, and I don't like it.
You do like it.
No, the game. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, and also, I'd imagine me and Paul will be featuring on it at some point throughout the run of this series as well, when we get a chance to.
You're such a great marketer.
I know we are.
Right. Should we move on to our patrons have to say this week?
Yep.
Okay. Well, if you don't know, we are our patrons. Say what they've been watching this week, the good and the bad. If you'd like to do that kind of thing and become a patron, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com/filmbusters. And you can become a patron just like the likes of...
You got Jason Clarkson.
You do. You have Francis Cibarini, who we were just talking about.
You have my good friend from holiday, Andy Bishop.
Yes, you do. You also got Ben from Film Vloggers.
Oh, certainly. You got Mark and Steve from Movie Drone, if you can believe it.
You got Brent from Home Video Hustle, if you can't believe that either.
You've got the man with many words, Luke Human.
You've got that human-animal hybrid, Sean Panda Nicholson.
You got the Albuquerque man, Nerd Revert, who's now... Is he in Albuquerque or is he in Texas? Has he moved
We
to
don't know.
Albuquerque?
He's Albuquerque.
Or is he in Texas? I can't remember now anymore.
He is now in hell.
In America.
Come on, it's you now, Adam.
Next up, we have Julio.
Oh, there's no comments for Julio. spent them all on Nerd Revert, so there was no additional comments for Julio. Next up, we got...
Jamie, please, please. I'm sorry.
And lastly, we have the Rotten Tomatoes aficionados themselves. It is Katie and Oti from the For Your Reference podcast.
Sunglasses were damaged.
What is that from?
I don't know. That sounds like a crap film, doesn't it? It sounds like they tried to write a funny line for him.
My
And it doesn't work.
sunglasses are damaged.
Yeah.
First of all, we've got Mr. Luke Human. He says, 2022's RRR. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. It might be triple R.
Triple R.
Triple R, I guess.
I don't know.
Do not be intimidated by either the Eastern pedigree or the runtime. Triple R is an exceptional action movie that builds on the best of the genre. Wu, Rodriguez, Evans, Tarantino and Wright fans will all find a lot to like here. As with a lot of Indian film output, it's not very subtle, but given the subject matter and the intent, it doesn't need to be. Our two leads gush charisma, although Tedja edges it over NTR for sheer beauty and intensity. The supporting British cast as the occupying forces are suitably nasty, verging on pantomime. Impressive wide shots of the Indian wilderness and well-composed cityscapes give a good sense of scale, and although CGI leaves a lot to be desired, the mayhem in which it employed means it's easily overlooked. A great achievement to bring an epic period foreign action film to a wide audience and make it so satisfyingly entertaining. And 2022's White Noise, this is like a Wes Anderson movie with all the charm replaced with obnoxiousness, the wit replaced with pretension, and the style copied like a 12-year-old cheating off the smart kid in class. Classic Baumbach, white privilege nonsense, but devoid of the emotion present in his previous work.
Yeah. I don't like that Noah Baumbach, so I won't be watching that, and it's got Adam Driver
I keep seeing
in
it pop up, and I'm like, it just looks meh.
Yeah, it is some white people shit for sure.
Just mention Wes Anderson, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. That Triple R, I've seen really being promoted left, right, and centre. I can't believe it because people are not normally big on what I assume is Bollywood.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but like even the Prince Charles have got it playing there. But it's
Yeah, but they
not
show
on
quite a
Netflix.
few films like that every so often.
Yeah, but
it
like
pops up.
an international film that's been released straight to Netflix, getting a cinema release over here. It's like what's
That's pretty special.
an exceptional action movie. Well, let's see. I mean,
Ooh.
the length is what puts me off. I got to say.
Is there any dancing? Is there any singing?
There must
I
be a
hope so.
sing-song at some point.
I hope there is.
I hope they stop right before the end credits as if to taunt you into saying, come on, dance for us. And they go, you think we're going to dance for you, fuckers?
Yes.
Just like the end of that beautiful film. The White Tiger.
Yeah.
Jinx.
All right. Next up, we have Julio. And he said, love the menu. It's taken the top 2022 spot, but I still have several movies from 2022 to watch. I found it really funny and it kept me wondering what outrageous development was going to take place next. Perfect ending too. Have you guys watched it yet?
I have not.
I've watched it, yeah.
You've watched it?
I'm going to save my thoughts for the end of month roundup.
Okay,
There you
fair
go.
enough.
That means he either
We'll
really
have a
liked it or he really hated it, if you're that sure it's going to be in your end of month roundup.
Let's see.
I've only got 2 films from my end of month roundup so far.
Mamma
Need to get
mia.
more.
Whistling.
Yes.
Anyway, so we'll talk about that at the end of month, Julio, and we briefly mentioned it during our wrap-up at the end of last year as well.
We did.
On the bad side, as much as I like to make fun of Adam being Nicolas Cage as his best of list, I'm actually going to complain about the movie X, a movie very much not for me. I've seen horror fans waxing poetic about how it's homage to the 70s horror, etc. Sure, I wish there was more beyond its references to better movies. The plot is bare bones. Dumb young people face off against creepy old people with very little underneath it, but it's my fault for expecting more. So accordingly, I won't be checking out Pearl. It was okay. It was beyond. I don't really remember a lot beyond it, but it was okay.
I hated the old people makeup in it. It
It's
ruined
quite
it for me.
impressive when you realise it's her.
No, because
I
it
don't
is
think
her,
it is.
obviously.
It's obviously her, yeah.
And it's not impressive. It's like, it just looks like her.
I agree with Julio completely. It's totally underwhelming. Nothing good or original really about it. And I know that the boys over at Movie Drone really dug it. And their most recent episode was Pearl. I listened to that because I have no intention of watching Pearl because I just didn't enjoy X. They really like it. It works for some people, but fuck me, it just doesn't work for me at all.
It was a 6 out of 10 for me. Just, okay, move on.
Is that Mia Goth? I didn't like her at all.
Yeah. It's
But
hard.
Ty
I could
West-
hardly get past the makeup. It kind of, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, now this is the rest of the film now. I got to deal with this.
Yeah. I don't get why people, I don't know. I don't get when the online community suddenly latches onto a film and praise it so much. You watch it and you go, why this one? It's like people reach into a hat and pull out a film title and they're like, this is the one we're all going to praise this month. And you watch it and you go, why? Why is this one getting all the praise? What about this?
Yeah.
And then next month they've forgotten all about it. They've moved on.
Because people feel like they have to like it sometimes.
Yeah. But if you want to check out a good Ty West film, watch The Innkeepers from about 12 years ago. That was good. 12, 13
That's on my
years ago.
list. That's on my list. I haven't
Yeah,
seen
that one was good. Well, there you go. Cheers. And last up, we have Sean Panda, who says, it's that time again. Hello, lovely boys. I hope all is well in Bustersville. Yes. We should set up we should rebrand our website and call it Bustersville. This week I've only watched the good stuff. The Banshees of Inisherin, To Sir With Love, a rewatch of Top Gun Maverick, but let's talk about The Menu. Wow.
Look at that.
Again, lots of praise for this. This film is basically Midsummer mixed with Ratatouille. Wow. That is a big strap line. That's a strap line. That would get me into the cinema. And it's a wild ride. Do you boys agree with that? Midsummer mixed with Ratatouille?
I'm not saying anything.
My review for the film was just wild, I think it was.
Well, there you go. Don't want to spoil anything, but it's worth a watch just to enjoy the experience. I know Adam and Paul have seen it already and enjoyed it, so I'm appealing to Ben, really. It's no boiling point, but it's really good fun. There's also a good conversation to be had around class, the snobbery of the rich in regards to the dining experience, and I just didn't expect that kind of depth from this film. Anyway, much love and respect to all you guys, and thanks for making the world a bit less shit. Well, thank you for saying that we do so.
That's very
Thank
sweet.
you, Sean.
I think that I'll have to check it out probably before the end of the month if Paul potentially is going to bring it up.
Let's
Then we
have a
can
talk about it
discussion
at the end of the
about
month.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll get it seen in the next week.
Beautiful.
Yes.
That's it. That's the end of the episode, everyone. You can have a
Fantastic.
surprise next week, see who our special guests are, and see what we're doing. I think a lot of people would have seen the film we're doing.
Yes.
I know the
So
guest,
you
I don't know the
You'll
film.
just check it quick. Adam is not going to be with us, in case you didn't realise. He's
yes, I'm
leaving
not
for
here.
some vacation. So,
Yes, somewhere warm, and where it's not fucking -10 all day.
mm-hmm. I'm currently sat here with my woolly hat on.
I've got a hat on.
Mine is a woolly hat because it's so cold.
Mine's a woolly hat as well. It's a cold hat.
Is Paul sitting with a woolly hat
I have
on?
no hat on, no.
It's because he's at work.
I'm in a warm room.
Pay for his
That
heating.
BBC money is paying for his heating, yeah.
Hells yeah, boy.
All right, then. So we'll see you on the Patreon to talk about ghost stories.
Let's talk about some ghost stories. Or we'll see you next week.
Ghostbusters.